Someone said that they don't like my canary, canary in the mine, uh, whatever you call it, handkerchief, my gangster thing. Anyway, the reason why I do that is because I'm not a full-blood Hunkpapa, I had to suffer all kinds of BS over that, but then, oh heck, I'm still alive, all my detractors and persecutors and all them headed out. They're on the other side. I play my music to pray for them because I never hated them at all either. I just wanted to be Hunkpapa at one time. Now you can see all the scars I got from all the combat education or whatever. Oops. I left a patch of hair. Anyway, the reason I make these is that they said that we're supposed to be giving the next generation, our children, the knowledge of whatever we know. And I don't know very much either, All I know is that I've been out in the boonies most of my life. I stay more out in the fields or out by the river or creeks more than I stay around people because I'm a rock hound. When I used to live here 20 years ago, they actually outlawed me from rock hunting because they knew how much money I was making, but I wasn't gathering it together in terms of how to do wealth accumulation, all that stuff. Instead, I was just having a constant party over and over, blaming breakups to drink, drink hardcore whiskey, use all kinds of pot and coke and a bunch of beer. But anyway, I guess if they didn't do that, I'd probably be dead by now. But the thing about this is supposed to be a poverty-stricken reservation, but it wasn't. It was never like that. This is because the people that are poor right now refuse to work. That's the main purpose. What I keep on saying that, there's all kinds of, farmland here and all this other stuff. You could grow all kinds of plants and stuff. But then for some reason, nobody wants to work together. Holy cow, I seen that growing back in the day, but now it's just utterly, you can't even find 3 people to work together nowadays. This is worse than that Bible story in Genesis, where Lot tried to convince everybody that, hey, God's going to destroy the city. You got to come with me. But God said, if you find 100 people in there that are righteous, I won't destroy it. And pretty soon Lot was convinced them to go with 10. Then pretty soon he convinced them to just take 1 person that was righteous in that whole town. See, a whole town can become infected with evil. By what I mean by evil is using children for sexual purposes, beating your wife silly, or, just sleeping around on your husband or whatever, or your husband going around sleeping on all kinds of women, don't you care if you have kids or not, whatever, then mostly it's disrespecting the elderlies. Once they become, non-sexual objects, then they become burdens for some people that they wish you could send them away to the nursing home or whatever, which most of them do nowadays. So see, there's that laziness, that unwillingness to forgive each other. So they want to fight each other and cry around and all of those stuff, that they're weak and the alcohol has got them and the meth is taking them down. And those are all bad choices. Or they have kids with they don't want the father anymore and all that stuff. But really it's a situation of bad decision making. Okay? But as long as you're still alive, you can make good decisions. You can change your way and you can become hey, I've lived bad and shit. Bad and stuff, but now you can listen to the things that I tell you, and nothing you did is anything new to me because I did that before. That's what you can say to them, because I said the same thing. Because I could say the same thing to people too, I think they've seen it all, But even bad nose hairs too, so everybody watch, keep it down low. So anyway, these are things that are supposed to be like a few minutes long. So I play a flute a lot, and you see, the flutes mostly caused, because I couldn't understand why I couldn't fit in with anybody. What was my purpose, And people didn't like looking at me, but when they start playing the flute, then my hands are on my face, or, basically I'm autistic or Asperger's syndrome, I believe they call it, where you have a super genius type like thing, and you can't even interact with people. My snagging abilities were here, have a banana. Back in the day, it was here, you want to smoke some pot, and that was it. That was the only words I could say to that girl. For some reason I couldn't go any further than that. It was pretty crazy. But fortunately, it was a good thing too at one time, because I had to learn a whole bunch of situations by myself. Because, like I said, somewhere else, my parents threw me away a long time ago. Me and my brother and my sister. And I chose the res. My brother chose the white people. He's still working great and has a great job and all that stuff. And, everybody likes him and stuff. Just the same thing here, too, when I was working here, too. People like me and stuff. But anyway, because he's always working. So, the whole purpose of this is so we could try to not vanish. See, my whole theory is I come back to the res, and all my relatives are all pretty much dead, So I always thought about making like a memorial book or something like that of all of them, and then put a picture of them and any pictures I could find, and then stories about them and stuff like that. Because we shouldn't just. I've seen like 10 or 15 deaths. I can't even count them because there's so many, and more than 8 of them were real close friends. And then, what do you call it? See, and that was always health-related, caused by substance abuse, whether it's alcohol or meth, And then, because meth does some really wicked things to the body, it's a chemical salt. So what it does, it chops up stuff in your intestines, and it definitely shreds all kinds of things in your brain, so you can't really think anymore. You're pretty much flat, and all you could do is just kind of remember the great moments around the meth pipe half the time, or what this one time or that one time, or he gave this or she did that around the meth pipe, and it gets pretty boring. There's nothing new in it, Just like I remember that one time when we were drinking. That's one time we were drinking. Those guys were in the fight. Those guys beat each other silly, and she slept with so blah 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 blah, and it just goes on and on and on, And then people say, "Oh, we got to make a change." And then most of the people that are in leadership and then in the top roles of society actually thrive from the meth abuse and then the alcoholism, because a lot of the meth abusers and a lot of the alcoholics, they'll sell their food, They'll sell their EBT cards just like that, and the local store won't check the names on those cards. They just swipe them, If they check the names and made them match to a driver's license or ID, then a lot of the substance abuse would drop really bad. Because then you would be seeing a whole bunch of people go in and buy a whole bunch of food, and they're starving at the end of the month, But they have to do that, though, because that's them. They can't just be giving that card away. See, that's where the guilt goes away. Then their children are the ones that are starving the most, Long time ago, when he was little, they used to have food stamps in the booklet, so when the parents, everybody was waiting for food stamps, even the little guys, us little kids then, because we know that once they pass out, they could steal their, what do you call it? Some of my friends would steal their books and go over to the store and buy all kinds of candy and food and stuff like that. They have a food party down the creek, down at the clubhouse, If you didn't know where that was, then that's on you. You were from the wrong side of the creek. Anyway, there was nothing new under the sun. Just like I said with Lot, he couldn't convince anybody that to save their city. So even his wife turned around, saw it, and became a pill of salt. And his daughter did something bizarre to him that made it even worse. But the thing is that you cannot cure a city, a community that's infected by evil. I say infected because it's a sickness. It's something that spreads from person to person, and it's really horrible when it spreads to the children, And then to the elders, when they get so old, then they're wishing for death. They don't know anything. They're too busy drinking and stuff, so they don't know nothing. So there's a blah 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 blah, make up stuff and be what do you call it? How you say it? Miserable. Winukshala, that's what they call them. Crabby old people, because he wasted their whole life. Then they didn't prepare for their old age, like me. I'm prepared for my old age. I love being this age, And I I get a chance to look down on my nose and say, you guys think you're smart and stuff, but you are not smart. You guys got to quit fighting each other. Otherwise you're going to be extinct. There will be no memories. There will be only books and have white guys talking about the Hunkpapa, and well, the rest of us just kind of vanish, because you see all the interbreeding or whatever, that crossbreeding. So I don't think there's very many full bloods left, or full blood Hunkpapas left, or full bloods in total. One of my other friends online was trying to do something like that to qualify the DNA, to see if we have different DNA strains and stuff. And I said, well, that's a good idea to do, but what will end up happening is I suggested something like that a long time ago, but it was with respect to the BI genealogical records of property ownership, the checkerboarding thing. And I noticed that you could see certain people. So I said, if you could make circles and stuff, I said, you could find out who's all related to who. And then they said, no, they don't want to do that because they don't want to go to the other reservations because they go up there. Then they said, oh, we'll get beat up and stuff because the first thing they want to do is drink, drink and party and that thing. Then they get all jumped and all that stuff, But I've been on all the reservations. They're all the same. There's no difference in any of them, except for down south, they have a little bit more progressive leadership, and sometimes, whatever, at least they have good buildings, and some good ideas. But as long as it's done just for themselves and not for the entire 1868 treaty tribe, then it's pretty pointless, Then it's like, hey, hiya, hesh, look at what you guys are doing over there. That's all you guys over there. They'll be comparing each other like little kids and stuff, tribal governments and stuff. But none of them have any treatment centers. None of them have any, like I've been suggesting, that they just hire these medicine men that are still alive and have them go out and try to teach people. Otherwise, once the medicine men are gone, somebody's just going to automatically instant shake and bake themselves into a healer, I'm a healer now because I believe in whatever. They'll do that kind of situation, I had a dream. That kind of situation. Then they end up becoming one of those characters that fondle women. That's wet and stuff. Yeah. And I've seen even that start too. I've seen a lot of it. I've seen when they first started selling the ceremonies. I seen this Washichula come down. He's all sunburnt, got the blistering bubbles and everything, and the face all somehow, all sunburned. And he go up to the guy where we were at down Cherry Creek and said, thank you, grandfather, for giving me all this wisdom and allowing me to seek a vision on your hill. And he handed that fellow $700, and all those other older guys, he kind of looked at him kind of funny, and then he said, you ain't supposed to do that. And then he said, you guys are just jealous because nobody gave you money. So right after that, all of them started. You couldn't have a Sundance without a few white people because they're the ones most of the time sponsoring the whole thing. It doesn't take very much to sponsor Sundance, maybe a couple $1,000s for food and stuff, And really, it was supposed to be a starvation thing, so you weren't really supposed to be eating. Nowadays, people are weak. Gotta pray a little bit stronger more. They were 2 weeks, so they just kind of let starvation. Don't really starve or don't really thirst. But anyway, the ceremonies are a practice. As long as you keep practicing them, then eventually one day you get good at it. I wasn't automatically a beautiful flute player. It took me years of birds getting mad at me, because that's where I picked up most of the melodies from, the birds, because if you listen to birds, they tell you a lot of things. But anyway, this thing's getting too long.